Hello, welcome. My name is Julie. I'm the Director of Brand and Communications here at Foleon. I'm really excited to be able to do this little mini session with you guys today. So as you can see, we're talking all about content marketing and demand generation with Foleon. This will be a pretty quick whirlwind overview of some of the things that are possible for content marketing demand gen with Foleon Docs. This is a bit of, what are we doing with our own platform to do our own marketing. So I've got a number of pieces of content that I would love to share with y'all today. We'll quickly go through a number of the documents, and then I'm going to end with some best practices. So really quickly, before I dive into the documents, I just wanted to share, give you a little bit of context for how we are working with the Foleon platform. So within our marketing team, we have our brand and communications team. We also have a demand gen team. We have product marketing. I head up the brand and comms team. There are 5 of us. So we do pretty much all of our content creation in-house. We have a few freelance writers that we do use, but for the most part, we're doing our own design. Like I said, it's 5 in my team, including myself. And I say that just to give you a bit of an idea of what we're working in and what our capacity is. And we work very closely with our demand generation team as well to come up with ideas and then to also review, analyze, and optimize all of our Foleon docs to get the very most out of them. I've put together some of my favorite use cases. We'll go very quickly. I just want to point out some of my favorite and most effective parts of each document and why we use them in Foleon. And then I'll end, like I said, with some best practices. So the first Foleon doc that I would love to share with you is I'm a Foleon doc. So this is a big demand generation piece for us, but it's actually not front gated. And so I'll talk a little bit more at the end about front gating, mid gating, or not gating at all, but we have this piece open. So we do collect leads here, but something that we often do is we add our forms at the end of our document, above the fold. So this is just a small best practice that I can definitely recommend. Always have a place in your document if it's for, if you're trying to do lead collection, where you can collect that information. And for us, we use HubSpot for our CRM, and so our forms are all linked up directly to HubSpot. So anytime anybody enters their information, it goes directly into HubSpot so that we're able to collect those leads. So that's very important. And you've got more down here as well. So yeah, it may seem like a no-brainer, but definitely be sure to include forms in your Foleon docs and keep them above the fold. Something else that I really love that I think is great for content when you're looking at Foleon docs that I wanted to show you is overlays. So when we design Foleon docs, we're always looking at how can we make it as interactive as possible? How can we make it interesting for our readers? How can we engage with them? And so this is a great example of overlays. It's an excellent way to offer more information, but also give your reader the choice to dive into that or not. So if you haven't played around with overlays yet, I highly suggest that you do that. And another one also is chatbot. So we use Drift, but you can integrate any number of chatbots in with your Foleon docs. And this is just a really nice way to already I'm just testing about to already get some interaction, some communication with your reader. So I would highly suggest that. Something else that I really love to use Foleon for is of course our thought leadership content, our branding. And so we have a regular newsletter that we put out, and I think newsletters are an excellent use case for Foleon. So we have, ours is the Crave. We'll show it to you over here. And what's something that I love that I wanted to just point out here is when you've got, so this is an example of the issue. So this is just one single issue. But if you go up here and go to editions, you actually can offer your readers your entire collection. So this is great for internal or external newsletters, anything where you do a regular publication that you'd really like for people to be able to access. So I can go in here and go to any past edition of the Crave. You can embed videos. There's Jerry. We might have seen him before in other webinars. I really like to be able to include that kind of content. You can include audio clips as well. And another example of where we've got an additional form at the end. So this is thought leadership messaging, but it's also still a way, to grow our database, and you're welcome to check it out and subscribe if you'd like. Another one that I wanted to share with y'all is along the lines of internal comms. I mean, so our team isn't necessarily in charge of internal comms per se, but a really crucial part of our jobs as marketers is also to ensure that we're enabling our sales team. And Eve is going to talk about that a little bit more after this particular segment. But something that we put together is our general resource hub, and we host that in a Foleon doc. And I will go ahead and show you. So this is our hub, and I really like this layout. This is just an excellent way if you don't have a linear read to be able to offer simple links. A lot of these are in Foleon Docs, not all of them are, but I want to show you quickly our brand guide, and also we also host our persona documentation in Foleon as well. So our brand guide, I can really, really highly recommend that you host your brand guide in a Foleon doc. It's just super useful. What I love in particular about using Foleon for a brand guide, I mean, I've put brand guides in PDFs in past companies. I put them just on the website, using a CMS. But what I really love about doing it in Foleon is that you have really, truly a single source of truth. And it's easy for me to be able to go in there, make adjustments, delete things, add things as your brand changes, which it does. It's a living, a brand is a living, breathing thing. And so this is just super, super convenient, very, very useful. We've got everything in here that you could possibly need, and you can make it really nice and visual. So, all of your logo requirements, but also messaging, colors, typography, brand identity, writing mechanics, best practices, all of that's in there. And these are essentially anchor links that you can just use to go down to different sections of your document. So to finish up, I've got a couple of just quick tips, best practices that I would love to pass on to you. First is what we really make sure to do is whenever we go to design a Foleon doc, even just in the conceptualization phase, we always think about, okay, what are the goals of that piece? What are we trying to achieve with this? And that will really help to determine our layout. Are we going to, so as far as gating as well, so trying out different lead collection methods. Are we going to put this behind a form on a website? Are we going to put it on a landing page? Are we going to mid-gate? If you are, where are you going to put that? You need to put it in a compelling part of the story, right? Give people enough. They're like, yes, I want to read more. I see the value in this. Or are you going to, for top of funnel content, are you going to add that form at the end? So using forms wisely, and also just making sure that you're integrating that with your CRM is very powerful. Something else that we do is we schedule regular review sessions to look at analytics, heat maps. So we use Hotjar. You can integrate Hotjar with Foleon. If you don't know what that is, Hotjar is essentially a way to actually see, you can see what people are doing on a page, and it's fascinating. And it gives you so many insights to are they not, people aren't clicking through, why? Maybe it's not clear to them where to click, or maybe they're really spending a lot of time here and not there. And that can give you some insights on where you might want to change things around. And so having regular optimizations scheduled in is really important especially for your most critical pieces, so that you can continue to make them as best as they possibly can be. As I mentioned, take advantage of interactive options, really. So overlays, which I showed you, adding videos, adding audio, using data visualization. This just makes your content fun. It makes it enjoyable. It makes it engaging. It makes it different than what your competitors are doing. And it really makes it stand out, and it makes people want to read more, to really engage. Another tip I can give you, if you're not doing this already, using Pastel for feedback. So Pastel is an additional tool that you can use you can really use that to give feedback on any kind of web-based content. We use this a lot. So if you have specifically design feedback, it's much easier than gathering all of your feedback in a Word document. You can set it up with Pastel and then just go in there and add comments specifically throughout your documentation. And then kind of along those lines as well, just don't be afraid to get in there and get your hands dirty. Depending on your role, I mean, a little further away from content in my role, but I still have moments where, if I'm doing a review, I'll just sign into Foleon, I'll go to the doc, and I'll just make some copy changes on my own. I'll change up some messaging if things are need to move fast and we need to get finished. It's really nice to just be able to get in there and do that. So just make sure your roles are well defined and that it's clear like who can go in and edit directly, who can't, but don't be afraid. And we've got undo button now, so you can't mess it up too bad. So really get in there and experiment. That's it for this one. I really hope you enjoyed the next segment with Eve. She's going to tell you a little bit more about sales enablement and how our sales team is using Foleon.
Thanks for joining the sales enablement session with me, Aoife. I lead Foleon's strategic account team. The topic of sales enablement and sales content in general, for me, is really, really important. Particularly leading the strategic account team, for me, it's crucial that each and every one of our strategic accounts has a really engaging and enjoyable experience as they make their way through their buying process with us. It needs to be, of course, an experience that is equal or better than that provided by the marketing team. First off, I'm going to discuss a couple of different use cases that the sales enablement team, as well as the sales team more generally, use Foleon, our platform, for. I'm going to run you through a couple of examples as well. I'm going to stick with two because the time is short, and lastly, finish off with some helpful hints and tips. So the first example here that I'm showing you is our buyer hub. This here is a 7-page asset, and it's used consistently throughout the sales team for new business, but also for existing business and upsells as well. We have a shorter kind of abridged version of this asset. I'm intentionally showing you our draft, or the version that is templated that our sales team need to come in and edit. I've chosen this method also because it shows you how much of this already exists and how much little personalization is required in order for our team to build a really beautiful and immersive experiences for our customers. The other example that I wanted to show you quickly was one of our team's hubs. So this particular one here is one of our sales hubs specifically meant for account executives. And again, as I mentioned, this is just the single source of truth for all of the different types of resources that a member of the sales team would need. So we run through single things like a link to our playbook, the sales processes, training sessions, focus key accounts, information that they might need on GDPR, all of the different use cases all of the different links and helpful things that they will need are all contained within here. There's a huge amount of linking here, but that's why this is so valuable. There is nowhere else a member of our team needs to go in order to find the information that they need for anything related to sales. From here, I want to show you what it actually looks like as for a member of the sales team to take a piece of content and build it. So here we have two different options, a US and an EMEA template. The reason for that, of course, is depending on the region, rules are different, terms and conditions are different. So we do have a different version for depending on where the customer is located. So this is going to look familiar to you because it is, of course, the same document as the one that I went into earlier in the preview mode. And what I want to show you here is how easy it is for your team to work in this type of template and to make some changes as they need to. So here, of course, the idea is that I'm just changing in the company name. So I can call this, let's pretend we're targeting a company like Slack. So I type in the name. Of course, you can identify individuals here. If you spoke to Mary and John, you can, of course, write their names, or the sales members can write their names in here to make sure it is more personalized. And this is pretty much the extent of editing that the sales team needs to do. You'll notice as well that everything here that the team needs to edit is actually contained within a text box, and this is intentional. Most teams, marketing teams in specific, are very, very nervous to give sales team access to a platform like Foleon. And I do understand it. I've seen some, over the years, I've seen some really dodgy off-brand decks in past companies that I've worked in. But what you're able to do in Foleon is provide these beautiful templates to your sales team, give them access to them so that they can wow their customers, but also control and limit what the team is able to change. So as a normal member of the sales team, I am not allowed to make any design or brand related changes to this document. The only thing that I'm allowed to do is to work within the confines of a text box. The only thing I need to change is my story with the customer, the challenges that they have, and the benefit that they will get from Foleon. Once I would be ready to publish this document, as generally speaking, again, it's all about controlling and making sure that the brand is adhered to. So we actually don't allow our sales team to publish these documents without a second pair of eyes. Anybody can make mistakes, we're all human. So we always make sure that a second person is able to come in, preview the document first, and then hit that publish button in the top right-hand corner. And lastly, just to finish off, a couple of best practices and practical tips as you're going about using your account for sales enablement and sales content. First of all, as I just alluded to there, very important to make sure that your account is set up with the appropriate rules and roles and permissions. Don't be afraid to give more people access to the account. If you set up the account in a thoughtful way, you create a number of different workspaces, you make sure that people are only able to access what they should be able to access and change what they should be able to, then there's really, there's nothing to be afraid of in opening things up to the sales team. And as I said, we don't allow our sales team to publish either, right? You're able to restrict and limit what people are able to do, not because you don't trust them, but just because it's always good to have a second set of eyes on everything. Another thing that I showed you very, very briefly, of course, is templating. The advantages that brings in terms of consistency in brand and styling, but also the flexibility to provide your reader a really tailored experience specific to their industry and to their challenges in general. It's your piece of content and to share it. It's also really important, generally speaking, a piece of content like this includes some type of confidential information. So always really, really important to make sure that there is a password or something controlling access to your piece of content. That's it. Thank you for listening. I hope you are inspired to now use your Foleon account for a lot more than marketing, but also maybe open things up to sales enablement, customer success, and any other internal teams that are creating content. Thanks for listening. Bye.